Hi, Manifest Nation. It's come to me doing a video just about me, my life, and where I came from, how I came to be here. Because, well, I'll explain. I have to start from the beginning because this is about my dad, it's about my mum, it's about my family. Right now I'm in a position where I can't actually do anything and I need answers because I don't feel that I can actually participate in this world. It's kind of been shut off from me. I have posted videos from 5 years ago. I've got loads of videos on my channel. But I set them all to private because I was so unbelievably censored, and the bullying online was unbelievable. It was clearly astroturfing from corporation. Whoever was astro, I don't know. It's usually government agencies, but I mean, if I just posted a video and I posted that because I mentioned something. However, these are the videos. So there's actually quite a lot, and they go back quite a lot. You probably, they were hilarious. There were actually quite a lot. It hasn't included the ones they removed, but there's quite a lot. Like it shows, yeah, it's actually really good, really informative, and this comes from a channel. This is all this channel. 6 years ago, 2018, I deleted my old channel and made this one because I'm so traumatized by it all. Absolutely traumatized. And this is what I've lived, and I put the videos on there from 5 years ago so you can see. It's hard to talk about this, but I think I do need to go back to the start and just give you an idea of who I am. So, I mean, I'm mid-40s. My brother's 50. I misspoke the other day. Mid-40s. And I'm the fourth. And my oldest, the oldest was my sister. Then I've got two brothers and me. Not that I was an afterthought. I was actually planned for, but I was kind of brought up by circumstance. However, they did really educate me well. I was brought up brilliantly. I really was. However, there was the points, the way my mind works. I have aphantasia, so I don't really have the sort of mind that other people necessarily do. But I need to explain that when I was young, my oldest memory is one of my mum, and it sticks in my memory because it kind of guided me. And what it was is I never used to be. If someone told me to do something, I've never done it. And she used to. I mean, I remember she said to me like, "Eat your carrots, eat your greens, eat this." I'd be like, "No, told me to do it now. I ain't gonna do it." And I'm like little. I've been like this ever since I was little. And so what she did is she cut up the carrots because I actually quite like them raw, and she cut them up, put them in the fridge. And I'd steal them and eat them. And it's like her little trick of making me eat it. That's how little I was. It tricked me. And then I'd stolen one day, and she came to me and she says, "Did you steal those carrots? Did you steal those carrots?" And I was like, "Yeah, no." Like I couldn't, or I probably said no first, and then said yeah. But I don't remember the. But afterwards, she was like, "That really." I think it was, yeah, because I had actually. I must have said, actually, I do, yeah. I must have said, like, no, I didn't. And then I'd said yes. So yeah, and then she cried. She was like, You've upset me because you lied, not because you stole them, but because you lied. And it was the whole scenario. It's like, you can't lie, you can't steal, because stealing makes people, it makes you lie, it makes people sad. That lying makes people sad, and it was always put into me like, just, I learned from the early age that every time I did lie, I do it terribly. I can't lie to save my life. Get found out straight away, and it was like, not doing that again. No. So anyone ever asks me, like, when I go to work, yeah, I've been at work and it's in work with someone new, it's like, don't put me in a position where you're asking me to lie for you. I can't lie. Like, I'm just not going to do it. I don't lie to save myself. I don't lie to save other people. I'm not going to turn away from things I think is wrong, because I think that's a lie by looking away. And that's why I had, so that's one of my earliest memories. Grew up through school. I was bullied a little bit. I always had friends that were kind of the downtrodden. My best friend, when we were kind of 10ish, around about that age, I think, their family was in, where his mum, his brother and his sister were in a car accident with him, and their mum died, and he was in a coma, he was in a wheelchair, his little brother was screwed up, plate in his head, and his sister was all screwed up, both her legs broken. It was horrendous. But their mum had died, and their dad, and I'd worked with him for like a year, just over a year I worked for him, and with him and his dad, actually, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. That was repairing and doing wear parts on big machines, like the dozers at waste sites, those big dozer plates. We used to make them out of Hard Rocks 400. And I remember being a little kid and being in a hospital, and Jay just being in that coma and just sitting there. He just never stopped me talking. Like, I just talk. I remember being like, and I remember when he woke up, I was so excited. I went in there, and my mum said, like, she was crying. She was like, do you know, because he woke up. That was it. He woke up out of his coma, and he wouldn't say anything. He just wouldn't say anything. And my mum was going up there seeing him, and she said, like, the first word he ever said, he said, was, your name, Mum? What do you want me to bring you? I said, my name. And we always were best mates, like, so long, but we're just so different people. And through school, I kind of sabotaged my own education, because I'm clever and he was stupid. But it's kind of like, well, he didn't have a mum, and his dad, like, it is what it is. Like, he had a family to keep. He's really loud. He loves fart jokes like that. Oh my God, listening to Red Dwarf or something. Anyway, so I had that in my childhood. Then I had, in my early teens, found out that my two brothers and my sister all had myotonic dystrophy passed down from my dad. And I remember the very visceral feeling of, and I remember saying it to my mum as well, I was like, I feel like, why am I the only one without it? I feel like it's unfair. It felt so unfair. So unfair. And it's not the sort of illness you can actually do anything about. The more you help them, the worse they get, because it's a muscle disease. So if you stop them doing stuff by doing it for them, they wither, which isn't right. It's just not. And the thing is, this whole jab thing, it looks like the symptoms are sometimes quite similar. Is this recording? Yeah, the symptoms are very similar, and I know what this has done to my sister. and well, it's one of my brothers has gone, and the other one's in there. I'm looking after it. I know what it does to him. I don't want that for anyone. Like it's horrendous, and I don't want to have to do anything that I'm doing because I'm supposed to be looking after my brother. You know, my mum died November, early November 24. My dad died 2 months ago. His best friend, his brother, a couple of years ago. And it was all because of the pandemic. There's a video on there, and I was going to post it. I was like, it was me walking around Stannick Lake, and I'm talking to my mum on WhatsApp video while I'm recording on the thing. And just the whole pandemic at the start, I tried to make people happy, and no one wanted it. No one wanted it. I tried my best to make people happy, but the whole pandemic, at the start, I said to everyone, I was like, this is going to be really hard. And as a healer, my job is to pull in that negative energy to make it a bit easier for people. And just by being around people, I'm so excitable. And when I was here, they'd have the TV on. It's just I can't take any of that kind of propaganda in the background. I'd have to leave the room. So I'd come here for a couple of days here and there, and then go back home, come here. It's like 50-mile round trip. Go there, come here. And the days I wasn't, I was WhatsApping my mum, talking to her, trying to keep people happy. It was horrible. Like, no one wanted it to be better. No one wanted to address any of the problems. And all my videos were highlighting those problems. I got a video of a nurse it was New York right at the start of the pandemic, and she's talking about ventilators. I'm like, why have they got them on this is right at the start, before we even really had it. Well, it was right at the start, and they're talking about ventilators. It's like, why are you using ventilators? You can put some mucus there. All these different things in these videos that I've said about, I could put public, but there's loads of stuff we go through, and no one wants it. I don't want to have to do any of this. My mum died, I wasn't able to do anything because these corporations. I have to go back. My childhood. So I had all that with him growing up, and then with myotonic, and it was constantly being a help. I was always a help to people. I was always helping people, and I've always been that. I've been surrounded by suffering my entire life. My entire life, I've experienced terrible suffering. And I mean, around about the time when they were diagnosed with myotonic, my mum and dad said, well, let's start going on holidays more, like, let's make the most of it while they can. So they started doing a few holidays here and there. We went to Greece and that. My dad said, well, I've always wanted to go on safari. So mum took him and me, actually, we left everyone in, Dad and me, to Kenya. And we done a 1-day safari, and it was like round Savo East, and it was like bang, like, it was so busy, and it was so exciting. We all were like, oh my god, that was the most amazing experience. It was so hard on that day. The roads are like, and oh my god, but anyway, and then they got the bug, and then I remember on the plane on the way back, I remember saying to my mum, I said, why is it they're all so happy, but at home everyone's so miserable? They have nothing and we have everything. Like, why is that? And she just looked at me and was like, I don't know. And ever since then, they went back for like 30 years helping charities and stuff. Because, yeah, I mean, they asked me, my mum asked me, she said, it's all your inheritance. It's all your inheritance. Like, it's there that you'll get one day, but do you mind if we use it for this orphanage for children with HIV and AIDS, to my uni, Homes of Hope. And I was like, yeah, you can, of course you can. I want you to help these people. I've never liked money. I don't want any money. I don't want anything. There's a lot of suffering. I just want to be left alone. Everywhere I look, all I see is suffering, and no one wants to help. No one wants it, and everyone thinks it's acceptable to have it like this, where people like me are rejected. And I mean, yeah, I mean, they done that charity work. I mean, it was probably 2000, it's probably been 15 years since I went to Kenya. And the last time I went, we went on, me and my two brothers, both of them had myotonic, but they could walk at that point without a stick. They just have to, they get dropped on their foot and they trip like that. I've seen my brothers trip over so many times. And when you're, the worst part is I've seen them fall so many times, but I've stopped them falling 10 times that. That's the worst part. Like, if I wasn't there, and when I hear like, oh, he fell over and this, or I'd be at home in Rushton and I'd get a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning. It'd be like, Russ has fallen on the floor. We can't pick him up because he was so heavy. Like, even though he was my size, there's something about myotonic. It just makes you, it glues you to the floor. You become so heavy that because it's like picking up a bag of sugar, like a big bag of sugar. It just over the side doesn't help you, and it becomes so hard. I mean, if anyone is ever in that position, the way to pick them up is to get them to like sit upright and go down. If you can get behind them, get your arms. This is what I do, and I'd put my knees down by them, and I'd try and put my arms around their waist like this. Try and get it so they're up, get it around their waist, and then literally just stand up with them like that, holding their waist, so they're just dangling with their feet, and so they can properly, or you can literally just kind of put them somewhere. But anyway, Russ, he's gone. But when they used to call up and I'd have to come over, it like straight away. I'd be here within the hour. You know, it took 45 minutes to get here, and through the pandemic, the amount of, they all knew, all throughout 2018, I'm talking about this stuff, 2019, and then halfway through 2019, they have that event 201, and it's like Octoberish. It's like they're going to do a pandemic then, because I kind of, time is weird, I kind of had seen the point, because I was getting made redundant at that point from Coke, and it was about 2 year redundancy, and I kind of got the feeling that as soon as I'm made redundant, that's when it all starts. Like, I can feel like there's a clear like line of these two. It just felt weird, and I was like, it's clearly like if anyone gets a chance to see my other channel, The Vest, like the old channel that got deleted, it might be archived somewhere. You might be able to see him if a video's there. But I mean, I was working for Coke, and all throughout 2019, I'm telling people, like, it's going to be. And then when I go back, because I hurt my arm just before the end of 2019, we were made redundant. My last day was 21st December. The day before that, as I said, was a thing. But I was telling them, it's like, no one cared. No one's responded, and I'm pretty sure this was all choreographed. And because I'd been I've done earthquake forecasting. Unbelievable the amount of suppression, bullying. You wouldn't. It's in, I don't know why it's the worst one out of all the places I've been on the internet for censorship or people coming in that are very like, if you say anything positive, it's like you get attacked by three different people. And I need to mention this because it's the best analogy. In South Park, they had an episode about memes and trolling. And with trolling, they were like, well, it's simple. All you do is, and you only need three Smurf accounts. They don't even need to be real people. You have person A says something, then you use person B to say something about them, and then you use person C to moan about them in whatever argument, like in a chat, or comments, whatever. This person, that person attacks them, that person attacks them. That person will then be attacked by three different people. Job done. Move on. It's created. You've created the chain then. Like, there's always, this is how they've done it. That's called astroturfing. The amount of different ways. I mean, the different things they've astroturfed over the years, like Brexit, immigration. Oh, I mean, the economy. You got hedge funds and bonds and the buyouts of the different debts. Like, how can you sell on a debt unless it's paid? So I'm saying every single debt that's ever been paid on, passed on, is like that debt is gone. Like, you can't pass it on. Once you've passed it on, you've claimed responsibility for paying it. That's the end of the chain. You just claimed responsibility for paying it. Well done. All of it. Like, that's just a simple fact of it. And it's all coming out now because the bubble's bursting. You've got companies like, well, you know, there's a lot happening. And Elon Musk got made the second most wealthy person over someone else yesterday, just because of the way that the stock trade went. Like, he bought £1 million worth of his stock, and then because he done that, everyone inflated it, and he sells a little bit. He makes like 30 billion or something. It's like, you just make money out of money all the time, and you can inflate and deflate. And I was tracking the finances, the corporations, the bosses leaving in 2019. All the patterns were there. People like me had it all logged. I mean, I've got one with a nurse saying, oh my God, all of these different things are evidences of corruption. I don't care who it is. It's evidence of corruption. The investigation finds who it is. It's clear corruption. It was clear astroturfing. It was clear. The entire pandemic. Where did 30 million or 300 million go to misinformation, battle misinformation, the 77 brigade? I know I've said this before, but it's all relevant. It's all relevant. It's all corrupt. And the fact that the courts are putting people in prison for talking about things like this is unbelievable to me. To me, the policing by consent rules, I am gonna read them right now. I'm gonna read them. The policing by consent rules. Number 1, to prevent crime. Can I do it? I don't know what sort of persona. Now I've thought about it, I'm like, do I want to do it just in my own voice, or do I want to be like, I don't know. Why's Commissioner Gordon coming to mind? I don't know. I've got a red phone. Let's not go into it. The number 1, to prevent crime and disorder as an alternative to their repression by military force and severity of legal punishment. Number 2, To recognise always that the power of the police to fulfil their functions and duties is dependent on public approval of their existence, actions and behaviours, and on their ability to secure and maintain public respect. Number 3. To recognise always that to secure and maintain the respect and approval of the public means also the securing of the willing cooperation of the public in the task of securing observance of laws. Number 4. To recognise always that the extent to which the cooperation of the public can be secured diminishes proportionately the necessity of the use of physical force and the compulsion for achieving police objectives. Number 5. To seek and preserve public favour, not by pandering to public opinion, but by constantly demonstrating absolutely impartial service to law, in complete independence of policy, and without regard to the justice or injustice of the substance of individual laws, by ready offering of individual service and friendship to all members of the public without regard to their wealth or social standing, by ready exercise of courtesy and friendly good humour, and by ready offering of individual sacrifice in protecting and preserving life. Number 6. To use physical force only when the exercise of persuasion, advice and warning is found to be insufficient to obtain public cooperation, to the extent necessary to secure observance of law or to restore order, and to use only the minimum degree of physical force which is necessary on any particular occasion for achieving a police objective. Number 7, very important. To maintain at all times a relationship with the public that gives reality to the historic tradition that the police are the public and the public are the police. The police being only members of the public who are paid to give full-time attention to duties which are incumbent on every citizen in the interest of community welfare and existence. Number 8. To recognise always the need for strict adherence to police executive functions and to refrain from even seeming to usurp the powers of the judiciary or of avenging individuals of the state or of authoritatively judging guilt and punishing the guilty. 9. To recognise always that the test of the police efficiency is the absence of crime and disorder and not the visible evidence of police action in dealing with them. That was pretty good, wasn't it? I like that. Did you like that, Kathy? Didn't you? Right. I need to calm down now. I took a position of authority right there. I don't like it. I like to be the guy, like, that's voice gets heard, but he doesn't kind of get blamed for everything. I just want to be heard. I just want my good ideas to be put into practice. So I thought ages ago, I was like, when I was driving down the street, and you got potholes, you're going down these potholes, I thought, why don't we make suspension that when it goes up and down, it produces electricity as it goes past, like those little connect watches or something. When it goes past the thing, it produces electricity. So your car goes like this, but all the energy is dissipated into usable energy. I don't know. It might work. But I thought that ages ago. I get ideas like that. So, I wonder if that'll work. But no one's listening. No one gets to hear it. It's like the thing with the earthquake forecasting. The evolution of that, of me finding that, was I found the other guy that was doing it. I was like, this is exactly what I've been working on, except he's using all the data, and I saw all this like in a different way, and I'm like, he's right, but he's looking at the effects, which is exactly right. Like, he's doing what a doctor would do. They look at symptoms, but he's like, well, it's a wave. And it's like, yeah, it's right. Yeah, it's tectonics moving. Yeah, it's right. But these but the way everything works isn't quite black and white, and the way that physics works is kind of more like this, that you go round things and then round this one. So you'll go from a big, this is really dirty, by the way, this is like 10 years old and it's been in smoky environments, all sorts, but it's like you won't really get, you don't get order when it's ordered. Like if you had 1, 2, 3, 4, that makes a solid thing. That's when it becomes in a state of entropy almost, where it's just waiting. It's almost out of energy. It's become stagnant and become there because it got locked in place. But the way reality works is a bit more like this, where it's not going to do the same one. It's always going to choose another little path. It's going to choose one of those instead. So is that one. But this is the overall shape everything takes. But just because that's the overall shape, and then the Earth is the sphere in the middle, it's actually on a tilt. And what's happened, because it's on that tilt, they've officially said about the pole shift. By the way, I've been on about that for so long. The Earth being on a tilt, it's 14 degrees. Yeah, the Earth being on a tilt, going around like this. What's happened is it's trying to get. Let me do it the other way up. I was going to turn my hand round. Why don't I just turn it round? Genius. You're lucky I haven't been dancing. I could be doing a little. Yeah. Anyway, it's on a tilt, and that should have done my nails. Someone's going to say about that. Should have. I was going to have a shower day as well. I just put it up. I said to my brother, I reckon people, like, there'll be some people that can probably smell through video. You never know. You never know what they'll come up with next. You'll be able to come back and be like, oh, you know, I look like I smell. I usually shower, right? For the video. Anyway, so the Earth's at a tilt, and it's trying to get back like that. So what's happening is the pole it comes down like that, and the Earth, as it reaches a certain point, it will speed up and slow down. But you've got the South Pole coming up the other side. So the South Pole is coming up sort of the western side of Australia, coming up there. It's going to the kind of the Banda Sea area in where you've got Malaysia coming around here, and the China Sea up there, up the top. It's just below there. That's where it's all going. So the north is coming down here. They're not going to get there. They don't get there. What happens is, where it's like this at an angle. Now I need to look. I'll do it this way. Where it's at an angle, what's happening is it's trying to go back, and what it does is it comes to here, that one goes to there, and it becomes more like a bowls ball, where it'll do this. The weight is being shifted. It's trying to shift the weight back by putting the two poles here and here. It's trying to go back. And the reason we've got tectonic actions, shall we say, is because there's a connection that should go through the middle. It's like there should be a connection through the middle, and it goes round the Earth like this. But what happened was, down the middle you got the crack of the Atlantic. So coming from the western side, the Earth, the energy should be able to go over that crack, but it was blocked. That crack formed, blocked it. So it had to find another way round to get get it connected. Does that make sense? Because of the crack, it no longer had a cycle. So that cycle became and the reason Pangea, because Pangea, I shouldn't go into all this, but Pangea started as a one like this, and when it came out, if you look at where Africa is here and where the eye of the Sahara is, like where the bulbous bit is, it's kind of in the on the left a little bit, and a little bit to the left. Anyway, this part of Africa kind of stays in the same place, and it has an action of this spinning, but that spinning is like a coil, like that energy is pulling, but in the pull it's pushing everything out in a circular motion from that point, and that point is where you look at the earth like that, and it's got the Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic of Cancer. Those lines are this and this being pushed to try and do this. Okay, so it's trying to get back by using these two things, because that was the only way to get them connected. Like when it came disconnected, it was like, how am I getting there? And that's what caused it to spin, track all the way back round through and background. It's in a big massive figure of eight basically, with a part of it gone. The because it didn't need it because it reached its thing. However, it's actually quite important to understand all of it at once. Like I don't know. Once you know what I'm talking about, and it's about these shapes that when things go round, it'll reach a certain speed and then jump off. But things happen in, people talk about frequency. Frequency is about how often something happens, and thermodynamics proves that energy wants to go to a place of entropy. Energy wants to dissipate. If there's energy coming in, it's coming in from somewhere. And what's happening is there's groups of earthquakes happening, and you have to correlate them into an area, and then correlate that area and count them up into pieces, because they are representing different parts coming in. It's really complicated, but I used to use all of it. I used to use the weather apps, the earthquake ones, the weather, the solar. You get all of these working together. This is literally all you have to do. Put them all together, put it through an algorithm, look at where the earthquakes are, and then look at the Atlantic Ridge. When they go in the Atlantic Ridge, a couple of days later, depending on the size, depends on how fast it comes out and what direction it's going to come out. Kind of. But it happened deep in Fiji after the Atlantic Ridge, depending on how it's terminated into that point, because the earthquake energy comes round through the Caribbean straight down into the that ridge, goes down into it, comes down through like that, comes out at Fiji. It was least resistance, path of least resistance, went straight through, probably around that bit in the centre and then out. But it's going woof, like this. If you had like two balls and you wanted to get from there to there, do you go round here or round there? Like you can go in lots of different combinations, but to go through the centre, it's going to follow like a spherical thing, and when it pops out the other side, it will cause it to spin the opposite way. Does that make sense? Because you're hitting it like that, you then spin around this one going that way. If you anyway, if you go through the centre, it opposites it, because it's actually quite important to know, because as you come in like this, you're not gonna, it won't follow that pattern. If you're coming in from this one's inner angle, it won't follow round the edge of that one because it's at the wrong angle, ever so slightly. It will hit it and kind of bounce back and come that way. It's hard to explain. But to see these patterns in nature, in you you see it all over the place, and when things are in order, that's different to disorder. And disorder is, it seems random, chaos. It seems absolutely random, but the plants don't make their flowers all the same, do they? Oh yes, they do. Oh, magic, magic. Because things aren't random. We think they are, but they're actually not. It's based upon flow, and things go from a high order to a low order. So if you're going to stand in the middle of society and go, like I have been, you're a chopper. Yeah, if you stand in the middle of society and go, right, I am going to stand here, and like I said, I have aphantasia, and which means I have a blank mind, totally blank mind. Can't see anything. But all throughout my jobs, I've been really good at seeing the problem. Like one of the jobs was, there was like 50-foot cranes and they're down a dark aisle, and it had a thing on it with 3 different arms, and the arms could go in like 5 different places. Really complicated, picking up these trays, really complicated. And we had a little TV, a little screen here, and all it had was the variables were only to see the sensors, the fault code, and you had a very very bad like touch screen. This is like early 2000, and I remember, and it's like I could almost see all of the different. Once I knew what these different things were, you can almost imagine and see all the different variables, and you will go through them and be like, well, I've done that variable, so it's limited all these different, and you kind of imagine it all happening. And that's how people with aphantasia work. I'm really good at that. Like, I don't think other people can do that sort of imagination in picking out variables and then just putting it all together, then picking out the variables, putting it all together. You can rebuild things. And this is what I did with the whole of society for the last like 10 years. The last 10 years, it's been so traumatic. And at the start of the pandemic, I actually done a video, and I said to everyone, like, just send me your negative. And I was like, oh my God, that means I need to, I literally got trapped in a cycle of pulling in people's negatives, because it was a constant cycle of these, seeing these astroturfs go on and just watching the cycles, the same cycle, same cycle, same cycle, presented with 2 ideas. Oh, is it natural? No, it's not natural. It's a lamp leak. Like, they're the only 2 options. Are they? Are they the only 2 options, lamp leak and natural? I don't think they are, because I'm not certain about this, but H7N9 avian flu vaccine in China is pretty similar to it, but that's a 3rd option. Let's not talk about that one. Yeah, there's a lot of different things. Like the remdesivir, like when they first started bringing those studies out very, very early in January, even though I've said in other videos, like it was early March, and I'm talking to my friend in the NHS, and he's like, nah, it's just a flu. It's just a flu. That's March. But China are doing full on like tests on this remdesivir and all this sort of thing. It's like, no, I can see these patterns. I can see them. I can see them censoring people. I have so many videos of me being censored, showing my things getting deleted. I would even go through and change words, take things out, and see if it's, and they weren't going straight away. They were waiting like 17 seconds and then they go, because the algorithms know that, and it's just like, how are they adapting? And you can see crossovers of certain comments. It was like at GB News when they came. As soon as they came, I was like, they're controlled opposition. Obviously, all of these does anyone realise the mental impacts of just thumbnails with everyone in exaggerated poses? Just that sort of thing. All of these little things all scratch away at people's humanity until all of a sudden they're a product, a consumer. That's what they want. They want children to be consumers before they're even adults. It's not right. It's not right. It's not right at all. And this whole thing with my dad was absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Can I do this in 2 videos actually? Because yeah, when I mentioned my mum and then my brother, I didn't want to mention my dad at the time because I thought it was going to crack me. But like I said, it was hard. That whole journey in the hospital, of him getting to the hospital and then being in the hospital and then coming out of the hospital. I've got videos of him because he wouldn't eat, and I was like, right, I'm gonna have to record this, Dad, but can you just say why you're not eating? And then he'd eat, and it's like, right, so now I have to record him to get him to eat. So I've got videos of him, and I've only watched one a couple of times because I showed, well, 2 people, and that's the only time I've watched them. So I don't want to. There's a picture of him sitting on the side of the bed and just withered, absolutely withered. And I remember what it was like in 2021, and then going back, and the pandemic, the whole thing was criminal. It wasn't. I saw the way it was conducted. I saw the way that people like me were demoted. Let me explain something. The way astroturfing works is they'll remove, hide, or demote, or they'll add things, create visibility, and then promote it. It's very simple. They just use promotion and visibility and to control the whole thing. In 2016, I think it was, they made it that the mainstream media took priority, and if you search something, all you get is mainstream media videos now, and it'll be a BBC article or BBC video, and it's got like a couple of thousand views. And it's like, no one wants to watch these MSN things, but they shoved it down our throats so hard. And we didn't do it. Well, people did. Another one was Sky News Australia. Oh my God, what an embarrassment! They totally sold out. They totally sold out. They obviously got taken over by someone. They obviously told everyone to shut up. There was some skinny guy came on for a couple of things to kind of set the tone, and then they all turncoated. They were all on our side before, and then it's like, oh no, now they're controlled opposition. They totally turncoated and became controlled opposition. They became right wing narrative pushers. They just mocked the left. People that spend all their time mocking things. Like, I'm not mocking. I don't want to mock anything. People that do that sort of thing are narrative drivers. They create emotion. I'm giving you a chance to experience my emotion. There's a difference between that. Mine's authentic. As I say, with closed arms. Mine's authentic. I'm going to be authentic with you every time because I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to myself. But yeah, this has been an insight into me as a human being and what I'm going through. And the pandemic, the I watched the videos from 5 years ago. I say I went to the job centre. They said no. There's only corrupt corporations. You get no money, and it's like, okay, because I can see there's only corrupt corporations, and the rules are you don't get any money if you're not going to work. It's like, but there is nowhere to work. It's like, but it's kind of on deaf ears every time. I've told hundreds. I've told everyone. Every time I'd speak to a bank or every single person, I was like, I'm not. The government told me I'm not allowed to work. I'm not allowed. I literally love work. For Coco's one of the best. For Tesco's are one of the best. Speedy, literally, they sacked the person who when I first started, he was like, do you want the job? I was like, yeah, I'll have a job. He walked over, sacked the other guy. I was like, you tit. And then I got actually made redundant the day before I was there for a year, right? Conspiracy. However, I was only made because they were going to make some people redundant because of another place, and then I was like, no, you're not going to make this dude redundant. He's just had a baby. I'm like, no, I will resign right now, so he keeps his job. He'll keep his job if I resign, won't he? And he's like, yeah. I was like, I'll resign then. He was like, you can't do that. I was like, yes, I can. And so he was like, oh, I'll get back to you. And he found him a job at Bedford. I was like, good, as long as you found him a job. And then like 6 weeks later, I got made redundant. But anyway, I got a job at Coke then. But I was a gardener back in the day. I loved gardening. Done that for 2 years. I've done it for the council. That was murder. Oh my God, there's a place up Springfield, and I remember I was doing it there with this other guy, and we got these edge trimmers and stuff, and there's all these kids that are off on holiday, and there's loads of trees and stuff, massive bit of grass, and we got our van, old Mercedes van, it's locked up and stuff, and they broke in our van, these little kids, but not only did they break in our van, nick his bloody phone. I didn't have a phone at that point. I was like early 20s, I never wanted a phone. Yeah, they're getting us because we're using edge trimmers. And it's like, no, can you stay away, stay away? They just wouldn't stop, and they're getting these sticks and these big, long, massive, whippy ones, and they're whipping us, and they're getting shopping trolleys. They're pushing them into us. I was like, they'd be about 30 now, little nods. Yeah. It's all conspiracy though. It really is. Everything leads to greed, and I could just see. Look at these stripes in the sky. Look. Look. They're not disappearing. What I'm saying, I'm not saying it's a conspiracy necessarily. Okay. What I'm saying is the high flow passover engines on the planes are more efficient. They burn differently, and they need fuel. Yeah, and their fuel needs a longer burn. It's like a piece of coal will carry on burning and burning and burning. It burns for longer. But if you've got a single particle of carbon or whatever, it's only going to burn for a certain amount of time. The combustion, if it's it's vaporized, atomized or whatever, fuel air mixture, the combustion's too long because of these high flow engines that they designed them really well to be really efficient. And then they found out that if they fly higher, they get even better efficiency, despite the way engines work. And also you've got an efficiency issue. So they can quote efficiencies, but as things age or as things get whatever, there's going to be discrepancies. Sometimes they'll run rich, when they're taken off, this sort of thing. However, it's not that it's out and outrageous bad chemicals and things like that. It's the fact that they put these nanocarbon particles in there in a formation of 8s and 16s that when it gets up in the atmosphere, it creates an area for condensation to stick onto. It's a condensate. So the particles have a chance to just stay up there a bit more. That's the thing. And when we talk about thermodynamics and things, that highs go to lows, well, what they're putting there is they're stratospheric, and over 20,000 feet is it's stratosphere or troposphere, stratosphere. When you get to stratosphere, that level, when they're at 36, you've only got to go up a little bit more, and you're in the next one. So that those chemicals, whatever the thing that's being condensated onto, can stay up there quite a lot. And I mean, I'm gonna have to do videos on that, I guess. On yeah, there's certain layers where it actually accumulates because it gets pushed up and doesn't really come down at the same rate as what it goes up. So you've got a layer kind of it just increasing, or it kind of like a manufactured ozone layer. But no, let's not go there. Yeah, I've also got about the all the satellites ruining the ozone layer. You only need one crash of a satellite and it's major disaster. All these different things are actually issues that don't get addressed, and I feel that corporations needing just doing everything for profit is not correct. I feel our benefits, our welfare will always be compromised over profit. And I mean, if you want to talk conspiracies, I mean, look at 2019 when they're talking about the projections of their investments. The projections of their investments go down in correlation to the stability of our society. So the more stable it gets, the less chance you have to make a profit off your investments. So the projections were at 2020, the projections were to go right down because we were becoming more stable. It was reaching a point of stability where, right, where can we invest? Oof, oof. There's not many investment opportunities. Let's create some. It may have been that. I hope not. However, I think it might be. Because looking at the chairmans and things that actually resigned and moved on, the things they've done in 2019, the activities of the Open Society Foundation, George Soros, you've got Bill Gates. Can I just say, Bill Gates, that Event 201 was about. Event 201 was October, and it was actually October the 18th, and it was done Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation with accordance with Johns Hopkins, and it was a coronavirus outbreak scenario. So that was 2 months. That's when they started. That's when it happened, basically. So it seems a bit weird, doesn't it? Weird timing. However, he in June 20 of 2019, Bill Gates put in a patent WO060606, right? And I think this is going to come into action pretty soon. And the title of it was cryptocurrency system using body activity data. Now, I'm not proposing he's going to implant anything in anyone. However, monetizing people's activities. He has a patent on it. An American patent. Do we not have... I have issues with the patent system. There's, especially in America, they have like 4,500 hidden patents. I don't know how many the British government have, but a patent can be hidden under National Securities Acts, and under those National Security Acts, there's actually quite a lot of different variables. They may be very specific, but it's actually quite a few different variables in which you can deny a patent and request to hide it. One of them is risk to economy. I believe they have patents that risk the economy because we have a dependent, well, certain economies have dependencies on certain things like oil, and if certain things came out that oil became not so needed, that may harm an economy. This is just a fact, and yeah, it's a reason. It's a reason for a reason. Just saying. And the UK aren't as transparent on national securities acts and how they're working. But I do believe that after reading the 9 policing by consent rules, I can read you the presumptions of law. The presumptions of law are public record, public service. The ones I'm disputing are public service. Members of the private bar guild acting as public officials are presumed to be legitimate public servants unless their oath is demanded and challenged. So I said, well, I've got to demand it and challenge. Like, even though I'm not in court, I feel that the court process should have highlighted the vaccine issues. I've got clear evidence from 2021 regarding the vaccine issue. Clear evidence from 2021 onwards of so many actions to try and stop them because they were visibly a risk to people, and people like my dad took it after that point. I believe I haven't got his records yet, but I didn't get told for a little while, so I don't know when he got vaccinated. But oh, listen, you buggers. That's the nicest way I can say it. I'll do a second part.